Hi everyone, so I'm just gonna do a super quick, hopefully, video about this. This is the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation, very light one. So this is the lightest shade they have. All right, so this is the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation in light 1. This is KVD, the Locket in light 42 neutral. This is Estee Lauder Double Wear in 0N1 Alabaster. I feel like that's probably the closest before things start oxidizing. This is L'Oreal Fresh Wear in 390 Snow, which is super similar to 400 Pearl. And so these are more like yellow matte colors that work better for me. This is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra in 95W. And that is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting and CN 0.5. So that's kind of like the little bit more pale, but still more of the yellow undertone. That is better on my face. So this is only the second time I've worn it. I wore it yesterday, and when I put it on, I was like, this is one of those shades that like makes me look pink because it's like not yellow enough. It doesn't have enough. It's just a little bit light and not yellow. I do think it oxidizes a little, so it's a little bit closer, but like you can see, my neck is just, it makes my neck, you can see the yellow undertones in my neck basically. It's kind of like holding up a white paper to your skin. All of a sudden you can see the difference. So it's not like I really have much color in my skin, but what I do have is this kind of like pale, cool yellow. And this really does, I think, just like some foundations of this similar tone do, where it's just highlights the difference between like my face and my neck. So what I would do to wear this foundation if I wanted to is I usually don't, I mean, sometimes I'll try to do something with bronzer, but I just don't really wear enough bronzer, I think, to make up with shade differences generally. So what I'll try to do is use just a slightly darker powder. So something like the Hourglass Dim Light, which to me is a little bit more like a, you know, edging into bronzer shade. But it's going to be adding some warmth, and so that's what I would do to try to kind of warm things up to get it to be a little bit better of a match. I could try mixing things in, but then you never know what's gonna do to the formula when you do that. So if you have, if you're a little bit lighter than me and you have less of the yellow undertones, I think this would be a pretty decent kind of neutral pale. It's not gonna be the palest of the pale shades, I don't think. It doesn't have a ton of coverage, but I would say it definitely does the light to medium coverage that I like to wear. Just always, I never wear full coverage. I think it would look horrendous on my skin. And when you have a good amount of like darker freckles, it can be quite a lot to actually cover those without them showing through and looking kind of gray. Whatever. I'm not trying to cover my freckles. If you wanted, I don't think you could do it with this foundation regardless. Wear-wise, yesterday it wore fine. The only place I had issues are because of my skin, not because of the foundation necessarily. So I have this dermatitis around my mouth and like underneath my bottom lip, and it definitely was having some issues interacting with like the skincare I had on my face to try to keep that area, because it's just been peeling like crazy. I don't know if it's the weather plus skincare mishaps or what, but it's been flaky. So I have been putting quite a bit of extra moisture on those areas, and so foundation's not going to sit very well on top of that, not surprisingly. So that's not the fault of the foundation. It didn't get super patchy on my chin here, which is definitely a problem I have with a pretty significant amount of foundations. So I take that as a good sign, not getting patchy on my chin. It seemed to wear okay. It applies easily. It doesn't seem to have issues with like lifting up. Sometimes that some foundations do that, you know. You try to go pat in a little bit more and it just like pulls off whatever was there. That doesn't happen with this either. I've tried a couple different powders now, today, yesterday, whatever. I've just been using whatever. So far, so good. You know, again, what I picked today was a like translucent, but you know, the white powder, and sometimes like a setting powder that even just has a tiny bit of tint when you're super pale can help with that issue when the foundation looks too bright. So I can only speak to this shade. I'm glad they did make a very pale shade and something for people around my skin tone range. Let me know if you've tried it, if you liked it, had good luck with it, liked the color, other colors that work for you, etc. Let us know in the comments, and thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you possibly in the future, who knows.